States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Ripley, please take the roll.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Here.
Councilmember Plaza. Here. Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Humbert.
Here.
Councilmember Benjamin. Councilmember Brown.
Councilmember Benjamin has asked to be excused this evening, and so has Councilmember Rounds. And Chair will accept a motion to excuse them this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Will the clerk please take the vote to excuse the two council members this evening?
Councilmember Humbert.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
All right, both council members have been excused. Moving on to, we have no presentations or proclamations this evening. Moving on to citizen communications for items not on the agenda. I have no one signed up this evening. Now is your opportunity to step forward if you failed to do so at the beginning of the meeting. All right, moving on for citizen communication for items on the agenda. I have no one signed up this evening. Now is your opportunity to step forward if you failed to do so at the beginning of the meeting.
Excuse me. I think this is the appropriate time.
Yes, please. Yeah, you've got 5 minutes. Please state your name and address.
My name's L.B. Benzler Jr., 29603 Northeast 194th Avenue, Yakult, Washington, 98675. On the agenda, so again, I hope I'm speaking in turn.
You are.
We have it, we're looking for approval for the Bloomsbury Bruce Marathon for 2020. That would be April 26th. And there was a letter put out by the mayor asking for it to be non-approved. And it just came out this last Thursday. I didn't see the email until today. So I'm asking the city council if you would please give me an extension so I have time to prepare for this.
Settle. I'm sorry, there's no interaction between council. It's between you and I, the speaker, and myself, and council's just here to listen.
Okay.
So if you have anything else you need to say as well, now is that opportunity as well.
I just need time to prepare for asking for approval of the Bloomsbury Bruce Marathon in 2020.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's just something that's timely that would, again, just allow me to give it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. Anyone else that failed to sign up at the beginning of the meeting for items on the agenda? All right, moving on. The chair will accept a motion for the agenda at this point.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Fredericks.
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza.
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman.
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert.
Aye.
Councilmember Graham.
Aye.
All right, the agenda has been approved. Moving on to reports of City Council. Carl Chapman.
Yeah,
He jumped ahead again.
I attended the VFW Memorial Service on Monday. It was very nice, good weather. A lot of people showed up. Representative Orcutt had a very nice speech. It just went off, I think we had a flyover, but it was, we didn't get a flyover going.
It was silent and invisible.
Oh. They were Halo?
Stealthy.
They were Halo? Okay. So, yeah, so that was very nice. No, we got this here.
Ms. Humberg?
I attended the Pathways 2020 report card luncheon. It was very interesting. There are some things that we're not doing as well, but there's a lot of things that we're doing better. And so it's nice to see that our community is working towards our homeless is getting a little worse, but our health and education is much improved. There's several things that are just better, so it was really nice to hear. Also, I think they're going to announce it, but
Yep.
VFW is doing breakfast on Saturday, June 8th from 7 to 11. We have blueberry pancakes or biscuits and gravy, eggs and sausage. Come join us. I think that's everything.
Okay. Mrs. Graham?
Just a quick, I was sorry I missed the memorial service that morning. I was still out of town, but I got back in time and to attend the circus that was hosted by the Rotary Club that afternoon and evening, and it was very well attended. And being that it was a fundraiser for the Rotary, we had our meeting today, and we did very well with it. So we're looking forward to do it. I think they're on a 2-year circulation rotation. So hopefully we can do it again in 2 years. And officially today, the Rotary Club has been working on an office on 522 Park Street, and we were able to have our club meeting today there, and it went very well. So if anybody needs information or would like to see and learn about the Rotary Club, we have a very nice place to be able to do that at this time. So,
Very nice time hanging out.
yeah,
Outside,
it is.
yeah.
I
Yes.
just need to add one thing that I forgot, and I don't even know how I forgot it. For health and nutrition, the Woodland Action Center was named the champion for 2019 because of all the things that they do to help the homeless and people that just can't quite make it. And so I was pretty proud of that. That's a really good thing.
Awesome.
Just wanted to make sure that I don't know why, I was going to forget that. That was going to be the number one.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. Moving on to reports of standing committee. Public Works. Mrs. Rounds is not here this evening.
That'd be me.
That'd be you,
I'm tired of listening
Miss
tonight.
Miss Humber.
Our jet rodder truck is paid for, and we're just waiting for them to be able to deliver it, so that's pretty exciting. Dump truck, we ordered, but they're not sure when they can get it done, when it'll be in production, so it may not be delivered yet in 2019. All the city backflow devices have been tested and on time and scheduled. Public Works has been working with the fire department to turn hydrants around to be accessible, and good comments on our work with the fire department. They thought that Public Works did an awesome job, and we're very appreciative of their help. We've completed the work on the lift station 5 on Glenwood, so it looks really nice. There's a few little things that they're going to clean up, like around the area, but it looks nice, and it's completed on schedule and on budget. The sidewalks, we have an opportunity for having underground lines along Pacific, so we're going to get new sidewalks there, and then along Beechwood, the CBDG grant will be able to get, so we can finish, well, we won't be able to finish, but continue down Beechwood to put sidewalks. Currently working with the street sweepers to get that done and wrapped up before Planters Day. Bless you. The baskets are all hung downtown and the irrigation system repaired and watered, and they're beautiful. If you haven't been down there, you need to go look. The flags have all been hung at half-mast at appropriate times this year, and that's very nice. And Memorial Day, JJ put the flags out all the way down Main Street and around the corner, and it was pretty amazing to stand there and watch our little town in the beautiful sunshine and the red flags waving. It was wonderful. And Main Street has all been weeded, and they'll be putting down the bark dust in time for Planters Day, so all those boxes look fabulous. WashDOT has proposed a plan to install a new pump next year. We'll rebuild the pump and ask for a timely rebuild. Horseshoe Lake, new signs placed on Horseshoe Lake, glass signs for update painting to be completed and installed prior to Planters Day. And the fishing derby, if you weren't down there, was a great success. Lots of kids had a very good time, and the sun was shining, so that was a good thing. We're hoping to get the power in the park by June 17th so that we can have vendors that need to come in and plug in. They can do that. So that will be nice for things like Planners Day and all kinds of things. The Public Work Luncheon on Wednesday, May 22nd was a great success. I went, good food, good people. It was very, very nice. There was a great article in the paper in May regarding the relocation of the Scott Avenue Reconnect dollars for the Exit 21 study. I don't know if you read it, but it was a good read. Recreation and Conservation Office, an RCO grant that we've applied for, and it will be announced on June 27th. Thinking we have a really good chance of getting that one. So excited about that coming. I think that's about all I have. I think Tracy has some things about some other grants, but no, I'm not like you. I'm still with that.
Or me. All right. Questions for Ms. Humbert? All right, moving on to public safety. Who's that?
That would be me.
Okay. Just keep
Told you
on
to get time to
talking.
hear me.
Are you human resources as well?
No.
No.
Oh, that's you. Okay.
I'll take that tonight.
Whew.
Yeah. We were not able to meet May 20th. We had people out for various reasons, so our next meeting will be June 17th. This says 5:30, but I believe it's 4:30 here in the chamber.
Oh, this says 4:30. You mean 5:30?
No, it's 4:30. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. It does say 5:30. 4:30. It's at 4:30
4:30 here.
here.
Okay. Perfect. Questions for Ms. Humbert on public safety? All right. Human resources, Mr. Fredericks.
Yeah, I'll take that with the absence of Mr. Benjamin this evening. We met on May 20th, and we reviewed the Teamsters Clerical Division has a negotiation date scheduled for June 20th. We were also informed that the WPOA had a mediation negotiating meeting scheduled for the 22nd of May. We're still reviewing the personnel policy and making updates pending for new sick leave laws, holidays that need ordinance update, and then the Planning Commission vacancy. We extended position number 2 ad to open until filled, and then we have action tonight on tonight's agenda for appointment on the consent agenda. Additional Planning Commission upcoming terms are ending for 2 members, 6/5 and 6/30. Those applications are due on June 7th. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 17th at 5:30 in Council Chambers Conference Room.
Okay. Questions for Mr. Fredericks? All right. Thank you very much. Mrs. Graham, chamber report.
It's going to be really short. Last week, we had Mr. Orcutt and Mr. Ron came and spoke at luncheon just as a wrap-up for the legislative purposes. And tomorrow, Mr. DeBolt will be speaking and giving his views. We still are meeting at noon at the Grange. It's a brown bag situation yet. We're getting ready for our golf tournament on August the 9th. So if anybody wants to put a team together, sponsorship, goodies for the bags, everything is still available. You can go on to the chamber website and find out the information and get the applications in. For Rotary, their golf tournament is June 28th, and that is the same situation. Teams, sponsorships, etc., and it can be found on the Woodland Rotary site. And we're looking forward to sponsoring the movies, The Goonies, on August the 9th. We're in works for our banquet in June. Hopefully it will be a fun time, so if anybody would like to host a table for that. And just as a reminder for everybody that we do honor a Citizen of the Year, a Business of the Year, and an Employee of the Year. If anybody, it's time to start thinking about those things and getting those applications into us. I'm giving everybody fair warning, so we're not at the last minute doing that. So stop and think next time you go into one of our local businesses and, oh, that was a nice somebody waited on me well. Write their name down, and we're always looking for people. And I'm going to step out and say from the Planners Day Committee, thank you to the Public Works Department for making our city beautiful for our big celebration that will be starting the 13th of June. So we appreciate everything that everybody does for that. And I think that's all the information I have.
Okay. Questions for Mrs. Graham? Oh, our city's about to be on display here.
Yes.
A little over a week.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Graham. Wahkiakum Council of Governments. Ms. Humber.
I was not able to attend the meeting, so I don't have a report. The Council of Government is working with the population count. It's called a census, but they're calling it population count something this time. So we're working with that. I'm sitting on that committee to help get people counted. So other than that, I couldn't tell you. The next meeting is June 27th.
All right. Thank you. Questions for Ms. Humber?
She needs my notes for human resources, the regular.
We already did them though.
Yeah.
Oh, I just crossed that. Yeah, the agenda says human resources again, so we're going to just cross that out if council's okay with that. Unless you want to report something else, Ms. Humber.
Do you know anything about
I'm
human?
good. I know
Okay.
nothing about human resources any longer.
All right. Moving on to reports of city officers. Planning Commission vacancy. We currently have 3 positions that are out. One is on the agenda this evening for Ms. Tiffany Whiten, and I'm asking that she be put forward to fill one of the vacant terms that would expire in 2024 in May. And we currently have 2 other positions that are out for application at this point, which closes on June 7th, so it closes Friday. Yes, Friday. So those of you that are interested in serving on the Planning Commission, live within the city limits, now's your opportunity to step forward and help serve and move our city forward. We have received 2 applications. Hopefully we could get some more. That would be nice. I did attend the circus as well. That was a good time. My children enjoyed it. I'd never been to a circus before. I was a little scared when the lions came out, but I worked through it. I worked through it. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. You always see it on the news. You just don't know. Just don't know. I got a little nervous. I did put the kids in front, so we're fine. But they all had a good time. We had a really good time. It was wonderful. It was nice to see the park all jumped up with that tent and everything else. It was awesome. So thank you to Rotary for putting that on. And let's see, attended the Public Works Luncheon for Public Works Week, which was awesome. Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for putting that on. And I know it was Public Works Appreciation and Mr. Summers cooked, so I appreciate we all appreciate him, even though that it was for him. He took part and made sure we all got fed, so thank you. I've met with a few developers over the last couple of weeks on some properties here in town, which was been very positive. Not really to divulge where those are, but understand that growth is coming, so that's good. They're asking questions and trying to figure out where the city is at this point, and I think they're doing their due diligence, which I appreciate, instead of just coming and setting up shop. They're trying to get to know our community before they come in and do anything. Also met with the Department of Ecology on matters surrounding Horseshoe Lake this past week. Very positive. I wasn't expecting it to go so well, but I was very pleased with the reception that was given by our representative for Woodland here. So very happy with the conversation, and so more to come with that. I believe that we're getting somewhere, and it's going to be a positive outcome at the end of the day. So that's good. Meeting with the PD tomorrow evening, which will be nice. They're having a department meeting, so I'm going to step forward and speak to the department tomorrow evening and hopefully get some information from them and to them. So more to come on that as well. Flower baskets. Somebody mentioned the flower baskets in downtown. We have 3 individuals, maybe just 2. I saw them putting up new flower baskets, if you've seen them. They're in the flag holders, big round flower pots. They paid for those, had the stands erected themselves from a local business here in town, and have been watering and taking care of them. So all on their dime, so we appreciate their efforts to dress up our downtown. They also did the other pots that are out there, the planters, metal ones that are out there as well. Thank you to Public Works as well for putting the 2 trees out. Was that you? Outside City Hall? Yeah. I'm hoping it was you, because if not, thank you to whoever did that. They look wonderful. Really dresses it up. And then also had WQCC meeting, which is, for those that don't know, it's a Woodland Quality Coalition Committee. Thank you. I need some help with those ones. WQCC, so it was the school district, the port, the city. We also had a representative from the city of Kalama come down this time. And Commissioner Arn Mortensen was also in attendance. Those minutes will be coming forward here shortly. Sorry that they weren't here for you this evening, but it was a great meeting. We got updated on the folks in the communities around us and what their challenges are and what they're going through and some of the things that are happening at the county, positive and possible negative, depending on how you look at it. And then also some of the school board things that are going on as well. So that was good. I've got more, but I'll stop there. Questions for me? All right, thank you. Mr. Boyce is gone, so I'll take over for him as well this evening. So we have some upcoming events that are going on. We've got the Lelooska Foundation Living History performances on the 8th. Always a good show. VFW on the 8th, which you mentioned. Horseshoe Lake Management Committee is meeting on the 13th, and that happens in this room here for those that want to attend that. Planters Days is coming up, the 13th through the 16th, which we're all very excited about, especially Thursday. We're going to have some fireworks. Do you know what time that starts? Is it start at dusk or is it like
Dusk.
Okay,
Yes.
Starts at dusk. Also
Don't
be.
forget their coronation is
I was
that
going to say
night
we're going to be
also.
crowning a queen that evening. I'll be there.
Okay.
Give the young lady a key to the city. Speaking of which, we need to talk sideline too. I'm going to try and get something out of you. Then also, Park Board's also meeting in this room on the 19th at 4 p.m. We've got the Planning Commission, of course, and I'm looking Hot Summer Nights on the plaza, paired with the movies in the park and some other things, which is going to be awesome. And I'll stop there with that. So I did want to speak to a couple of things that are on the agenda this evening. First of all, the confirmation and appointment of Ms. Tiffany to the Planning Commission. I've had a number of conversations with her, and she's looking forward to step forward to help the city out. So I'm really hoping that council agrees with this choice and appoints Ms. Tiffany to the Planning Commission. I think that she'll be very useful there. And then I'd also like to speak to action item D, and I'd like to read a letter into the record this evening for those of you that are here in attendance, so we can get it on there since Mr. LB did step up and say something this evening, just so everyone else in the audience is aware. Please stand by one moment, please. Mr. Benzler did state that I did send a letter out this past week, which I did, and I'll read that now. Thank you for choosing Woodland over the past number of years for your Blooms to Brews event. We have appreciated the opportunity to host those who participated and attended your event. With that said, we can no longer accommodate your organization. Over the past several years, every attempt has been made to partner with you and to help make your event a success. I believe the city, including its residents, has acted in good faith to grant full access to your guests and event. Due to the following reasons, we will be recommending your 2020 event and any future events by your organization be denied. Number 1, traffic control. As stated many times over the years, traffic control is a top priority. Your event continues to discount the city's request for additional resources in this area. Timelines. Cleanup of the staging area this year in particular was not timely. The event concluded on Sunday and staging area items were not removed until Wednesday. And third, financial cost to the city. The city of Woodland has incurred a loss through cleanup, staffing, and maintenance of our park over the years due to the event, and estimate over $600 is spent by the city to host your event. The most important and concerning is the lack of respect and courtesy shown to the residents of our city by your organization. Annually, a number of complaints are heard on this topic. Again, we appreciate the opportunity to host your event in partnership. We simply cannot continue our relationship into the future. Sincerely, Mayor Will Finn. I'm asking that council agree with staff's recommendation, not only my recommendation, that we no longer allow this event inside the city. Questions? All right. Mr. Randolph.
I have nothing to report, sir.
Okay. Mrs. Ritt.
In front of you is my monthly report. Just a few things to be aware of. We did a number of social media posts for the past month. Some of them are related to public works. They're doing street sweeping. We're encouraging citizens to go out there and look at our Facebook page because that's where we post a lot of different things, such as traffic alerts. WashStop did some street repairs and construction. We did do a utility bill reminder in lieu of the date that was on May 15th, so people don't get late charges, hopefully. And then Tracy in Public Works has announced her Movies in the Park dates, and so those are on our website, so make sure you go there and check those out. June 28th is Field of Dreams, and all the rest are listed there, and then she'll be getting us the Hot Summer Nights on the Plaza bands soon. There was other notices posted there that are listed. We processed a number of grants and contracts. Also citizen communication trackers, we had 5 to 6 comments or complaints that we were following up on. Councilmember Fredericks already reported on the HR side, so I'll skip that. We are taking applications pretty soon for the 2020 Lodging Tax Committee. That did go out in the paper, and so we're going to be looking for members for that. There's certain criteria. You have to be a member that receives the tax or a member that pays the tax to be on the committee. And then we did have an interest from the gal over at the Broadway Inn who has asked to be appointed for the 2019 committee because we've had that vacancy for a couple of years. So she's expressed interest, so we'll have that hopefully filled at the next council meeting. We did have some claims to report for labor and industries. We had one in Public Works and one in the Police Department. Employees attended the first of the 2 CPR classes on May 9th, and next one will be November 7th. We attended some webinars, one on backflow and one on payroll portal. That was held in May. I'm happy to announce that we filed our 2018 annual financial report with the state auditors. That was finished and completed on time to that. And that will be posted to our website as well. And I want to thank all the employees in different departments that contributed to the hours of staff work that are involved in that. We are continuing to process a number of public records requests, and we are working on still one large request related to the comp plan, and that next installment is looming in a couple days. Reminder that utility shutoffs for non-payment will be on Thursday, June 6th, and we will send out another reminder to our social media posts to people so they get that as well as the notice they get in the mail. Meter reads will begin starting on the middle of next week, and then for those of you due in July. We're meeting bi-weekly with the FCS group on our utility rate study. Tracy and I are working on a whole list of items as well as the other departments that are, I have Shannon and Thomas in the utility clerk area that's provided a ton of information to them. So we're continuing on that on a bi-weekly basis. The Finance Committee will meet next on June 10th on Monday, and we will have a number of items to go over then. I'm also working on the final reporting for the clerk treasurer department assessment, and I met with the mayor today, and we're hoping to get that report together with the city administrator and meet early July, excuse me. Our utility sewer standby charges, we're still looking into that, and I think the mayor and city administrator will be reporting that work in progress. And we looked at some upgrades and getting some quotes in for facilities in the clerk treasurer reception area. So that's still work in progress. And also looking at the Clark County Fire and Rescue annexation and the financial analysis. We are looking at our upgrade to our financial OpenGov software and our integration module that's going to be occurring in the next few weeks. And then we're going to be demoing the budgeting suite with the mayor and department heads on June 12th. There were some upcoming webinars, webinar that we attended. Nope, I take that back. This one's coming up. It's going to be on 2019 labor, housing, and privacy bills, and I think I give that one to Travis to look at. And then there's another one coming up on June 19th talking about public records that I'll be participating in. We do have a number of upcoming events, and those are all listed there for you, and some of them are already on the facility calendar here. And I just wanted to remind everybody that you're going to be getting another notice reminding you that you need to complete the Open Public Meetings Act and Public Records Act for elected officials, boards, and commissions. Continuing to track that was required by state law, so watch your email for that. I attended a webinar on the utility fiscal management, as well as my utility clerk Shannon Thomas. And I attended the payroll portal with Audrey, and also a backflow webinar with Vision Municipal Solutions with Shannon and Kathy from Public Works. And then another webinar on finance and duties was attended by two of my clerks, Lori and Jessica. I attended the Southwest Finance Officers meeting in Camas, and they had a speaker from Clark County on some new things that are happening at the GFOA level. That's government finance officers. And then I did attend the 2019 legislative wrap-up and looked at that, and I did send out a bunch of tidbits to different departments and the mayor about what was happening there. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mrs. Ripp. Questions from?
I did have the finance report that I included in the package. So we had December 31st comparison report, March 31st, and April 30th cash and investment report and comparison report. So if you have any questions.
Question. Okay, Mr. Fredericks.
You indicated under, I guess it's bullet point number 4 here, that we processed a reportable L&I claim for Public Works on 5/8. Can you tell me, does the city do an accident investigation to determine the root cause of the accident and to determine what happened, and we're doing that?
Yeah, we have a whole process that we do, and it goes actually through the department supervisor, then it gets reported to the city administrator, comes into the clerk's office, and we report to the risk management. We also talk to the department heads, and then the last thing that happens is the accident investigation committee looks at it and makes a report back to administration to see if there's anything that we should be looking out for.
And I'm assuming the police-related ones are handled a little differently, considering maybe the nature of the industry.
Same process.
Okay.
And then we report them onto the OSHA 300 log annually.
Okay. Is it possible to schedule an hour before the city council meeting, the Open Records Act training in here, so we can all do it together
Sure.
and get it all done in one night
There's a video.
for the whole crew?
You
I
can
don't know.
There's different options. We can do it in the council chambers. People can do it on their own, watching the video at their leisure. Yeah, a number of different ways to do that.
I would just like to get it done, and I know I won't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't put it on the agenda,
And so it's required
not.
of the newly elected officials within so many days of taking office, and then the other ones every 2 years or 4 years.
I'm sure I'm already in violation of the law,
Okay.
so.
We can get that scheduled.
Okay, and then, I thought I had one more question, but I'm good right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from Mrs. Ripp? All right, thank you, Mrs. Ripp. Chief Kelly.
Callis 911 is facing a little bit of technology issues, so they've established a technical advisory committee to look at potential new computer-aided dispatch system, and Officer Kelly and I are taking an active role in that. Mrs. Connor continues to be a big presence during Safe Kids. We had the Woodland High School Every 15 Minutes program, very valuable program to the youth of our community. Officer Gibbs, Sergeant Keller, and myself attended that. The mayor and I attended the Cowles County Chaplaincy fundraiser to represent Woodland. Big hit. I think they made some pretty good coin there. It was very crowded. Let's see, we had I attended the new Kalama Police Department dedication ceremony. It coincided with the anniversary of Chief Gibson's passing, and they named the facility after him. I attended a Clark County law enforcement ceremony in Clark County, right at the Public Safety Plaza. Members of the department went to the Woodland Co-op Preschool and did our annual presentation. Mrs. Connor, Ms. Heiler, Officer Bedora, Sergeant Keller, and myself. Ms. Connor and Ms. Heiler fingerprinted all the kids, and it was very well received. Ms. Connor continues to be a big presence in the car seat clinics that are conducted in Kelso and Cowlitz 2. I attended the WASPIC Spring Training Conference. I also, right as soon as I got home from the conference, I officiated a high school or a charity basketball game at Camas High School, which benefited the Vancouver PD Police Athletic League. It was actually kind of cool because there was a young man who set it up as a senior project in the school. And then there's another game. There's another game this Friday that I'll be going to at Clark College. And probably the best thing that happened this past month was the lunch buddy program that Mrs. Finn set up to have a bunch of a lunch with a bunch of kids that haven't had very good exposure when it comes to law enforcement. So the mayor put on his day costume. He had his uniform on, and I bought a couple of officers, and it was a good success because we had Deputy Aguilar and his partner Kilo, who was a narcotics detection dog, come to the lunch. It was very well received. We gave them all kinds of loot, and I'll go on record and say that the Woodland Police Department loot was a little bit better than the Washington State Patrol loot, so that went very quick. The coloring books and the crayons and the pencils, and they went quick. So the State Patrol didn't fare too well. I still have some left over if you want it, Your Honor.
Take those back to the office. Thank you for pulling them aside. Appreciate that.
I held them. I knew
It's my own fault.
Budget restraints.
They are. We have a travel freeze and some budget restrictions at this time, so I apologize to the small children in Southwest Washington.
And it was also an honor to be part of the memorial ceremony at the plaza. That was a lot of fun. As usual, the VFW did a great job, and it was well attended this year.
Good. Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief Kelly? Mr. Plaza.
Hey, Chief, I was talking to one of the guys today, one of your officers, and they told me that the radios that we authorized you to purchase have arrived and are up and running now. I'm just wondering how those are working out, how they compare to the old system.
It's only been a couple of days, and we're working out a few hiccups with programming and that kind of stuff, but so far they're functioning very well. And thank you to council for approving that. That's great. It moves us into the future, and after talking to the technician, will be good for quite a few years to come. No matter what the programming, these radios that were approved are going to be capable of holding data for a long time. And any programming that Crescent College may come up against.
Perfect. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Chief Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're fortunate to work with all the city departments, not actually being formally a city department. We still get the benefit and the pleasure to work and have great relationships across the board. We've had a few things going on. We were able to provide some CPR training to city staff, partner with Public Works and Police to do some shared cost for hearing evaluation for employees. And this last year, we've had a stronger relationship with community development where we've been involved providing fire marshal services for new construction projects, and that's gone well. So certainly a kudos to Mr. Goddard and his staff. That's been a great relationship, and I think it's helped us improve that process and also keep our folks informed as new development happens, and making sure that that's coordinated for future response that may happen. It's gone very well. We're planning an open house in July at our headquarters station, and I'll have you some details on that. As you may recall, we had an open house in Woodland last year at the fire station next door. So our plan is to kind of rotate that around to a few of our facilities. and we'll have some information for anyone who may want to attend that. We're gearing up for Planters Days, finalizing our incident action plan for that, to coordinate with the police department for response and prep there, in addition to the work that our association does with their annual fundraiser with the barbecue feeds. We'll look forward to seeing everyone down there to get a sandwich down at the park.
Are you going to run out this year? Just,
We run out.
I'm just
we run
saying.
out- We run out every year.
like, there are people running from the parade down there to get lunch.
It's a great, and it's just a community support we get from that.
Absolutely.
The donations from Walt's Meats and Burgerville are the two big sponsors. We have a lot of folks that really help us put that on. That money supports things like our door-to-door smoke alarm campaigns and things of that. So that's gone very well. Responses are up, continue to climb, and Woodland continues to be our busiest station. On those lines, we have a new records management system also, and that records management system will help us do a little bit better with stats. Essentially, our old system where we maintain all of our incident response records. The company was acquired by a new company, and they gave us the opportunity to upgrade into the new system, and that's been well and been well received by our crews, giving them less tie-up with entering data and that sort of thing. But gives us a more accurate picture. So that was up and running as of this month. I mentioned smoke alarms. We continue our door-to-door smoke alarm campaign with installation in probably 5 to 10 homes a month with folks that reach out to us. And we have a volunteer that leads that program, Tom Cook. And I mentioned the support from our association that provided donations to keep that program afloat. In addition, we're providing some fire extinguisher training to several businesses, as well as formal fire inspections as requested. We've had a few businesses in the community request that. With us taking a bigger role in fire marshal services, we now have the staff and the capacity to do that effectively. So that's gone well. And kind of back to the initial thing I mentioned with our 1 year mark into community development work with fire marshal services. We're transitioning that to the electronic and online, which will further kind of streamline the process both for city staff as well as customers that have building projects in the city. So, we're hoping to have that up and running by the end of June for those development projects. Exciting stuff. That's all we've got, unless you have any questions.
Questions for Chief Jackson? All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Mr. Goddard.
Thank you. So I gave you copies of the permitting information from the building side of the house. The April report is the last one that's available. It shows that the top section there is the number of permits that we issued. The bottom section is only the residential, so the top one is commercial, industrial, and residential, and the bottom one is only residential. So we issued, so far this year, we've issued 2 single-family residential building permits. We're going to have another duplex that should be issued within the next couple of weeks. Other than that, the majority of our development applications this year have been industrial and commercial. So if you look on the next page, you'll see these are the permitting valuations. Unfortunately, the template includes last year's December number, so it's not quite accurate. The valuation on the residential side is $700,000, and the valuation on the commercial and industrial side is $8 million so far this year. The majority of that is the Builders First Source Pro-Build trust company on Sherman Way that you see them starting to work on the foundation. They'll be working on the hopefully the structure of that pretty soon. And those are the biggest projects that have been started in April. And so there's a little more application data for our April building permit applications in there for you. Also, the other 2 commercial projects, there are 3 buildings going up on Belmont Loop for B&B, Brett Flager's property, next door to the 3 existing, the red aluminum-sided buildings that are down there at the south end. Belmont Loop is building 3 more of those, and the foundations are already poured and approved. Also, Sam Nigro is building another of his office buildings. He's a little farther up next to Adair Homes. There's a small empty lot there, so it looks like he'll be starting his construction pretty soon. Also, you see some progress being made on Bruce Young's property, which started last year. And then you'll also see that the IGS building, where the old yellow llama glass sitting, so that's been gone, and they started construction as well. Also, you see a lot of progress being made on Dutch Brothers, so they've got that framed up. So quite a bit of projects that are nearing, hopefully, either starting or completion pretty quick. So we have Planning Commission on June 20th. There's 3 items on the agenda. The binding site plan approvals for the Woodland Corporate Center. Also, the school capital facilities plan update, and that'll include a discussion of the impact fees. And also, the Planning Commission wants to get into discussions about multifamily housing options and how we can make our code a little more effective, hopefully a little more open to creative ideas. So we'll be talking about that. Other applications that have come in through the door, we've got a 2-lot short plat. We have a bindings, or a pre-application conference for a cell tower at the Burrs Creek mini storage site. And we also have the Carpenito Brothers 47-acre industrial site between Caples and Gorig, fronting on Pekin, so it's south of the Columbia River Carbonate site. We're waiting for the traffic study on that, and then they'll be ready for review. So that's going to be a huge project. So hopefully they'll get that traffic study done, and we'll be able to start processing that permit soon. Other than that, we've worked on 3 main things this last month, and those are the 3 ordinances that are coming before you: the wireless communication facilities and the comprehensive plan. And then also at the next meeting, we'll be looking at the RV code change request that came in from an applicant. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of, within RV parks, occupancy to go from 30 days to 90 days. And they also had some language suggestions for tiny homes and container homes. And we are going to roll those into the multifamily discussion, and alternative housing options will be part of the residential discussion that the Planning Commission is going to get to this month and probably into next month. So that's pretty much it for community development.
Questions for Mr. Goddard? Mr. Fredericks?
Will there be design standards for these container homes?
The tiny homes, there are building, international building code changes that are coming online this year and should be adopted in 2019. My understanding is the container design standard or the building code should be 2021. So I don't know whether it'll be on the list, but it'll certainly be one of the things that they want to talk about.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Goddard? Trying to make it funny. Thank you, Mr. Goddard. I appreciate it. Chief Coleman.
Mr. Goddard, can you put my, yes, thank you.
Well, yeah, she's always got a way. Is there a video of this?
No video.
Oh.
I thought about putting it to music. Maybe that might help for next month. So anyway, this is a report from Public Works Department, and basically you can see the mayor's up there, and both the mayor and I always have a competition with food. So I win. So anyway, we'll start out with what we had going on this last month. So we had the Public Works Lunch, which everybody is familiar with, so we had a lot of support from our community and staff coming and joining us, celebrating Public Works Week for everything that our guys in Public Works do for the community themselves. And yeah. So these are just a couple slides of photos of who were there and who joined us. And so as you can see at the bottom left, I don't know where I took that picture of the mayor's feet. It just, I didn't include it. It was funnier than heck, man. So, but as you can see, we were still working
I was
at
wearing
the
tennis
luncheon.
shoes.
We're signing documents at the luncheon, and there's never a break. So anyway, next. So we actually updated the signs at Horseshoe Lake Park. So you can see on the left, the Rolling Hills Freedom, that's an old sign. And then on the right is a new sign that we put in. And then on the left, the Woodland Tree City, and then on the right, the new Woodland Tree City that we put in. Does anybody know what year the skate park went in? How long ago it was? When?
Said I could look at my records.
Well, anyway, give me a rough estimate.
2003.
Yeah,
2003.
about
Okay, so
2001
what,
or
15 years?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the next page.
1950.
So these signs have been up for that many years, so you know a lot of the rules you couldn't read anymore, so we did a new rules sign. So if you go out there, you can see the signs are refreshed and they're new. And if you go to the next page, this sign that was put up there for all the volunteers and contributors says that this is temporary and we will be replacing it with a permanent sign. So 15 years later, we now have a permanent sign.
Just
So
like
there
City
you go.
Hall.
It's completed.
Awesome.
Those are things that I look for in the city to do that you know, those are the things that get missed. And so those are what we try to look for in the city to make the city better.
You know what else I love what you're doing as well? There's consistency as you drive through the city. That all the signs have that same
So
look.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I appreciate that very much.
And then we also, sorry for a little bit of the editing in here, we're maintaining Horseshoe Lake Park painting. So if you go down there and you see that there's signs out that say wet paint, yeah, just don't sit on the picnic table. So we're trying to maintain what we have because we don't have a lot of funds in our parks, and everybody's very aware of that. So we're trying to pressure wash and maintain the wood that we have, the wood picnic tables that we have, so we're painting those out. And then we have new benches. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you go down to Horseshoe Lake Park, we have 2 new benches. One of them was, we had the fishing derby this last weekend. And at the fishing derby, there was a gentleman that used to volunteer at the fishing derby every single year, and his name's up there. Yeah, and so his family came and donated the funds for us to build the benches, and we went ahead and built the benches and put that. They purchased the plaque and the materials, and then we put that up in his name, and that's where he used to sit there and fish with kids for many, many years. So we thought that was kind of a neat contribution to him, and we gained 2 benches at Horseshoe Lake Park. So those have just been installed this last week, and we kind of put them out there in a pretty good location. So you can see the bottom right picture is kind of hard to see, but they're kind of separated out. So when you go out there, you'll notice the new benches.
Nice.
And then, yes, we have new pots at City Hall. So there's our new planter pots that we put in there. As you know, last year we had 2 trees that were donated to us by some citizens, and unfortunately those trees died. So we decided we purchased some pots this year. We didn't have the budget, but this year we had a little bit more budget, so we put the pots in there. So hopefully these trees won't die when we replace the ones that were graciously given to us. So. As you also know, the flower baskets were hung downtown, so there's just photos of the flower baskets downtown. And then we installed a fence behind City Hall, so that's just some of our guys doing some of the labor work there behind City Hall. And then we picked the line to the Rainy Well, cleaned out that line so we can have nice solid flow going there through our Rainy Well. So there's our guys doing a pigging process. Can anybody tell me what pigging stands for?
Pigging?
Pigging. Pig.
Eating.
Pigging, I know. Pipeline intervention device, or gadget.
Gadget.
Okay, and then last but not least, there's kind of what we have so far. This is an ongoing process. It's never ending. So the more we get into our hot summer nights, movies in the park, the more is being added to it daily. So the more networking that we're working on, the more permits, the more insurance binders. Yeah. Keep an eye out on the website. So I have to have the flyer done before the kids get out of school because this all has to go, and it's not all finalized yet. For instance, the VFW is going to come and provide meals for anybody who wants to come downtown for $5, hot dogs, chips, sodas, water. And so they haven't signed up for a couple nights, but they need to extend their permit, so we don't know if they're going to be able to do it for the following night, so we're working with them on that. We had pirates now that we're going to have coming to town, so we just met with them on Friday, so I know, hey.
No, I just said I was so excited.
Oh, I know, it's going to
It's a huge battle on the lake.
Black powder and everything, so we had to meet meet with
gonna be awesome.
the fire chief and the police chief to make sure that it was safe and obtain letters. So there's a lot of activity going on. We have the STEM program, which is science and math, and we're involving them. And we have a dog show, which I told you. So all of this takes time and coordination to put together. So while I would like to tell everybody it's all finished, it's not yet. We're still working on it. Friends of the Library are going with Spruce and for the beer garden. So they're working on that together. So what we really have lined up are the movies. That's completed. The car show, we don't have a full commitment yet for the car show. We have all the bands committed. We have all contracts with the band. We have Santa Claus coming. Santa Claus in his Hawaiian theme, handing out candy canes on July 26th. So it's going to be a pretty big event. So that's what we're ending with.
So on the adopted dog, if I have a couple of dogs that.
No, you cannot bring dogs.
It's the other
Yeah,
way.
yeah,
Okay.
it's for adopt dogs. Yeah, no, you can't bring dogs.
All right.
So, anyway, so that's kind of what we've been working on, and that's
It's
on
big-
the side.
it's big,
That's
it's
on the
huge.
side.
Yeah.
And so then, in addition to that, so those are just the little things. Then we have our big projects that are going on around town. So we have washed out right now that you guys know are out between the intermediate school on State Route 503 and exit 21. For the next 2 weeks, they're doing crack seal. So there's going to be delays on State Route 503. So you want to make sure that you time it if you're living on that road to allow yourself some 15-minute delays. The filter restoration and media project for the water treatment plant, we're working on that right now. Gray and Osborne was awarded that contract, and they are planning on having the plans done for that project the end of July, and we'll go out to bid late August and award hopefully in September. And then we're on track for our valves, our HVAC and electrical improvement that we're doing at the water treatment plant right now. We're still on schedule for that. The booster station, which Susan reported on, did come in under schedule basically, and within budget. So I was very pleased to see that. Let's see. If you guys see down on Davidson, we have the permit railroad crossing for the water line extension on Davidson. So in the next couple of months, you'll see somebody out there taking bore samples. So if you see somebody working on the side, that's what's happening there. We're going to take some bore samples to be able to do that. We have to submit that to Burlington Northern. And be prepared because this year we have Lake Avenue, Spruce, Rhododendron Drive, and Gorick Street from Lakeshore Drive towards town. We're going to have some chip seal being done, and so we'll make sure that that gets posted on our website, and staff and the citizens are aware of that ahead of time so they can plan for delays. In addition to, we're going to be adding a second layer of chip seal to CC Street, 2nd Street, and Davidson Alley, which we did last year. Put a second coat on there to maintain those roads. We have new truck signs, routes in order to be put up hopefully by month end. So as you know, we have a numerous amount of trucks that are trying to turn and go down Davidson versus going down Bozarth, which is our designated truck route. So I've contacted Google Maps and tried to get them to put a note in there for anybody who has trying to navigate through town that it gives a warning that says, please be aware that if you're a trucker, you need to take the truck route. So we're increasing our signage, the size of the signs down there, and increasing the number of signs. And then also, I wanted to thank the city employees for helping with the Rotary. The circus was a big success, and we had Public Works help to make sure that they had the right backflow device to be able to serve the food and drinks and et cetera, so on, that was there. And so I was very proud of staff for coming through for that. And then we hired a part-time seasonal worker for parks. And so it's a college student that has had experience with us in the past and also did volunteer work for us prior to coming on and working for the city. The industrial park, we're working still with Gibson Olson on that, and they submitted a draft of market findings for that industrial site and also the environmental findings, and so far there's nothing that's come to alarm for us for environmentally on that industrial site, which is good. We'll be taking some soil samples in phase 2, but as of right now, both the market findings and the environmental looks good. We had, if you look around town for Exit 21, for the Exit 21 study that we're doing, we have tubes all around town, the county tubes, so that's going on right now for Exit 21 study. And then also, as Police Chief stated, that Gary did assist getting all the, assist Day Wireless and the police in getting all the radios in the police vehicles. And CW Cog Kaufman Street, we're going to be going out to bid for that. So that Rob D., our city engineer, is wrapping that up right now, so we can have the funds obligated to us by CW Cog this month, and we'll be able to go out to bid for the Hoffman Street sidewalks. And then the TIB funding that we were awarded, that was awarded to Gray and Osborne, and they are working on the contract, which is going to be reviewed by TIB. And the tentative schedule for that job for that West Scott Avenue and Guile Road is engineering is going to be completed by April of 2020. And then we'll go out to bid in May, and then we'll have the actual construction work completed by 2021. So it's going to be a good year before we start on that. And we're going to try to do we're replacing the water line because there's an asbestos water line in that area. We're going to replace that. And then we're also going to try to loop the water underneath the tracks there too, so we're going to go out for another railroad permit. So that's end of Public Works.
A couple of things.
Couple things.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Questions for Ms. Coleman, Public Works?
I have a question.
Mr. Fredericks.
Chief Coleman, on the WashDOT chip sealing, where is that actually going to occur again?
It's from the intermediate school on State Route 503 out towards the city limits all the way to exit 21.
And are we communicating that effectively to the folks that are going to be impacted by that during Woodland's rush hour in the morning?
It's actually on our website, and WashDOT also has it announced on the WashDOT website.
And it's been on Facebook and Voice of Woodland and all of those other things.
And what's the expected delay in that area? Because
15 minutes.
Last time they said it was 15 minutes. It was 45.
Okay, plan for a half hour, and you should be there.
Wow.
It's a rolling work project, so while they're doing the chip seal, they're rolling along behind it, so it's supposed to be 15 minutes, but
Oh.
it's supposed to be.
Can they do it between 10 and 2?
No.
Can they wait till after school?
No.
It's out.
10 and 2.
They're doing it at the beginning of school, but not when people they're going to end before school gets out.
Is it possible that we can request a couple of portable signs out there, like maybe coming into the city, and then maybe over by the roundabout suggesting that there's going to be some delays coming?
Yeah,
With some dates of
absolutely.
work? Can we
I'll talk
request
to
that
Mike,
from them,
yeah.
please?
Expect
Absolutely.
delays.
Yeah. I know that we're putting it out there on the websites, but something a little bit more visible out there.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to consent items.
Move to approve consent items?
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, second by Councilmember Chapman. What am I doing? Oh, any?
Discussion.
I don't know what just happened.
Consent.
Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Humber?
They're just all normal work things.
Okay. Councilmember Chapman?
I concur.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk please take the vote?
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Humber?
I forgot what I
Aye.
was doing. I don't know what just happened.
Yeah.
And they all passed. Thank you. All right, moving on to action items. Action item D, special event 2020 Get Bold event for Blooms to Brews, April 26, 2020 for athletic run/walk event.
Move to deny the application for 2020 Get Bold's event for Blooms to Brews.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Fredericks.
I think the letter that's been provided by the mayor speaks to the partnership here, and I think it's important that we have a good partner now. I'm hoping that there'll be some discussions that'll happen with staff after this meeting with the office, with the mayor's office and staff regarding this item, but I too have received a few complaints this year regarding this event. We're closing roads that shouldn't be closed. We're leaving things out. We're just not being a good steward. So for that reason, I think it's appropriate at this time to deny this application.
Councilmember Plaza. Further discussion? All right, will the clerk please take the vote on action item D?
Councilmember Plaza?
That's to deny it, correct? That's what we're voting on?
Yes.
Yeah. Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Fritter?
Aye.
All right, moving on to action item E, community development, ordinance number 1412, zoning text amendment. Mr. Goddard, you've heard of, is this the one that you're going to step up for? Okay. Amendment ZTA 18-001, an amendment to the Woodland Municipal Code, Title 17, to adopt a Woodland Municipal Code 17.71.195 wireless communications facilities, first reading. And Mr. Goddard has a presentation for you this evening.
Okay, I will try and make this as quick as possible because this is 15 pages of thick text, and if you didn't understand it and if you read through it, then I wouldn't be surprised. So I will try and make this quick. This went through the Planning Commission in June of last year, and because of the planning or the comprehensive plan update, this was kind of put on the back burner, and I didn't get a chance to prepare the ordinance and bring it to you until this is the first opportunity I've had since we've completed the comp plan stuff. So this ordinance, the highlights of this ordinance are what it does is it prioritizes the location and the types of cell towers or wireless communication facilities that the city would like to see. And it starts with the idea that we want co-location on existing towers, and then new facilities on existing towers, and then our last choice is new support towers. And then it also prioritizes where we want them. We want them, ideally, we want them in the industrial zones, highway, commercial, downtown, commercial business, and then the residential is kind of the lowest priority for structures. Some of the highlights of it is it encourages the use of utility poles like you see on the right. If I can get my laser to work. That's kind of the new style of small cells, and this is kind of the old style, so we've limited sizes of equipment, and ideally we would like it inside the pole or underneath the ground if it's in the right-of-way. Traditional new poles or new cell towers are going to have the equipment around them, but they won't be located in the right-of-way. But ideally, within the city's land, we don't want stuff like this occurring anymore.
That's what it looks behind my television.
Yeah. And some of the other requirements is we want a minimum of 2 arrays, meaning, so this is considered 1 array, 2 array, 3 array. So this is actually a high-density tower. And the other thing we want to make sure is there are no non-exclusive agreements in there. Quite often what happens is they'll put in an extra tall tower and say, oh yeah, we're going to add 3 or 4 locations, but they sign an agreement with the pole owner that says no AT&T, no Verizon, so that only Sprint is allowed on the tower. That's frowned upon now, so the idea is we want multiple stations so that we have multiple antennas, not multiple poles. If you have an existing structure or an existing, like our utility poles, you can add under this code an additional 20 feet of height to the utility pole. That allows for some extension, but in non-residential districts, it's 120 feet. 150 feet, depending on what the setbacks to the property are. But in residential zones, it would limit it to 100 feet, and the height may be increased depending on what the screening is. So, for example, if you are up in the Scott Hill Park area, you can have a taller pole because you can't see it because it's behind trees and it's located in a location. So there are situations where they can have taller poles. Also, the issue of lighting is covered pretty thoroughly. Lighting is determined by the FAA, so the city essentially defers to the FAA. If the FAA says that pilots need a certain color light and it's blinking or not blinking, we don't have the authority to deviate from what the FAA says. Setbacks, typically it's 50 feet from a property line. It has to be a tower height from the closest residence, meaning that under no circumstances would it tip over and land on a house. It can tip over and land on buildings and businesses, but we don't want it necessarily landing on houses. But there are exceptions allowed, so in certain circumstances they can have reduced setbacks. The code also has requirements for landscaping and screening. Both are required. Generally, it's a 5-foot buffer of landscaping with trees and shrubs. The trees have to be mature, or at least 6 feet when they're planted, and there's a security fence that is required, so the code allows for pretty typical industry requirements can be met without any kind of hiccups or hurdles from city code. Color, there's non-glare or blend with the natural background. So for example, if you were up near the industrial training facilities against the hill, a nice green might be a lot better than a gray or a black or something. So the permit process, essentially what it does is if you are co-locating on an existing structure, that's our number one priority. So we make it administrative approval so that we can get those approved as fast as possible. New attachments to towers, it might depend upon the zoning, but we try and make it easier for those. Whereas new towers are going to require a public hearing before the hearings examiner. It also requires the applicants to have neighborhood meetings with the neighbors, and we want that at least 90 days before the application is submitted. So that way the neighbors know it's coming and they can think about how they want to show up at the public hearing and get involved in the process. Also, there's an option for third-party technical review. There are things about radio frequencies that need to be studied by somebody who has knowledge in that field. So we're going to have to find somebody and make sure that we can create a contract with them. But I needed to point out that health-related issues, there is a federal preemption, and that is local jurisdictions don't get to weigh in on the health effects of cell towers and cell service. The federal government has regulations on that, and therefore, when they get their FCC permits to transmit, it is included as part of that the equipment that they're using will meet federal standards, so the city doesn't need to get involved with that. Temporary facilities, like if there was a flood and the cell towers were not working, AT&T could bring in a trailer and set up a temporary tower for service during that emergency, or for our firefighters or our police may have situations where they need temporary facilities brought in. Also, there is a standard in there for removal. If a tower is no longer being used, that the owner needs to actually take the tower down. They can't just leave it there in perpetuity and have it get have it degrade or just start to look like hell over time. So, any questions?
Clarify that? Just kidding.
Questions for Mr. Goddard? All right. Thank you, Mr. Goddard.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Mr. Goddard. That made way more sense than what I read.
Did you have a question?
Just
Mr. Fredericks?
Just a request in the future, this ordinance indicates that we had a workshop. If we could just make sure that that's noted on the agenda, and I'm sure it will be in the minutes, but if we can notate that it's actually on the agenda as a scheduled workshop for this item, that would be great. It's not. So,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. It just makes it easier when, the reason I'm asking is because actually I've gone through previous minutes and agendas before to look for something that we did, to clarify something that we did, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to track down when we actually had workshops on items. So that would be helpful if that was included. Thank you.
So we're back to action item E, ordinance number 1412.
Move to approve ordinance 1412.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Chapman, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Chapman.
Yeah, we heard it. Thanks, Mr. Goddard, for that, because when I was reading it, it made for very good sleeping material. I appreciate it. This made it more understandable. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Plaza. Further discussion? All right, will the clerk please take the vote on action item E, ordinance number 1412?
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Action item E has passed. Moving on to action item F, ordinance number 1433, adopting the 2019 comprehensive plan update, first reading.
Move adoption of ordinance number 1433.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Humberg. Mr. Fredericks.
I am pleased that the 75-25 ratio was changed on that, and I've already spoken as to my reason why this is, why we should move forward with this at this time.
Councilmember Humberg.
No comment. I think it's been spoken to.
Further discussion? All right, will the clerk please take the vote on ordinance, on action item F, ordinance number 1433.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Humbert?
Aye.
All right, first reading.
Point of order real
Oh,
quick.
yes, Mr. Fredericks.
Is there any reason why members of council should be recusing themselves from this vote if it pertains to something that they might legally have a benefit that they might gain, and if so, should they be recusing themselves from this update?
What the ethics require is that if an issue comes up that you have a financial interest in, you need to announce that, you need not to participate in the discussion, and you need to not vote.
Okay. Having said that, I guess it would be appropriate to ask, is there any member of the council that rule would apply to?
Yes, and I did recuse myself last time, and I got excited about what's going on. So I need to recuse myself, so we probably need to start over again.
All right. Can Ms. Humber just change your vote from a yes to an abstain?
I think we ought to note, yeah, I mean, because you
I
participated in the
seconded
discussion
that.
as well.
Oh.
But
I seconded the no.
well, I would say void that vote, and you've now announced your conflict, and please abstain.
So I will make the motion then was presumably dead. I will make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1433.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Fredericks, seconded by Councilmember Plaza. Councilmember Fredericks.
No discussion.
Councilmember Plaza. Further discussion? All right, we'll quickly take the vote on ordinance number 1433.
Councilmember Humbert?
Abstain.
Councilmember Chapman?
Aye.
Councilmember Plaza?
Aye.
Councilmember Fredericks?
Aye.
Councilmember Graham?
Aye.
All right. Action item F has passed. Ordinance number 1433, 4 yeses and 1 abstained. Come to the portion of the agenda for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Humberg, seconded by Councilmember Chapman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? It's 8:20.
Oh, I thought, yeah.
Thank you.
Until Ben said, oh, let me see.
Yeah,
why you-
Good.
I don't know.